Hey people, when I started doing what I do, I studied all these ancient letter charts, ancient letter meaning charts, and seen the small differences and seen all the similarities. These are logos. It's not just a letter. We pronounce it as a B, but it's more than just that. It was the Teutonic language. It meant it had a picture and a sound. And so first I studied all the pictures and how they connected with these letters. And so that's why I started with the Phoenician alphabet, because they were more similar to the pictures. It was easier to remember which was which. The pictures are more of a verb than a noun. And you see it in this letter N here. And it used to be represented mostly by a fish over on this side. And over here they represent it by snakes. You see here, there's fish and snakes. And it's more of the motion of a fish or a snake. It's the way they swim and they cycle their tail. And you can see it in this Greek word for serpent, of fin. He's got a fin. But he's also of fish. And it's where the word official come from. That's why the Pope wears a fish on his head. The first gods come out of the ocean to teach the people to fish. So if you just Google letter meaning charts, ancient letter meaning charts, you'll be able to find this. And I found this on somebody's page who was trying to teach Hebrew. And they'll tell you that all these letters have a meaning. And then they'll say, but that doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with the language. And those people have no idea. They'll tell you that the A is silent. But the first two people in the Bible are Adam and Allah. And so most of the words you'll find in the Arabic, that's why you hear them all that hawking and bawing. Most of the words you find, they start with a B, and it means in. When the word starts with B, you don't pronounce it. You pronounce it in, and then read the rest of the word. All this hawking they're doing, that's the words that start with E. And you just say the, and then read the rest of the word. You don't pronounce hawk and va. You don't pronounce that. You can say and in the rest of the word. But the va is pronounced as a W. And the ka means like, as, or like. When you see it on the beginning of a word, that's what it means. You don't pronounce it. And the L belongs of, and the M is from. And this was worldwide. It was everybody's language. It was the same in Japanese. You don't pronounce this Kiko. It's not a Kiko, it's a K. It's like Eco, the household. You see here, the Eco, meaning the house. And so a like house is a Kiko. Then I would take my paint and I would pull the Hebrew line. This is Numbers 21, while I was reading about the serpent on the pole. And I'd take the Hebrew and I'd line it up next to the Greek. And to see the similarities, you see the B here, and it's replaced with a EN here. The B is just read in. And you see here this WAT, and they just give it an and. They're just pronouncing this. They're not pronouncing this part here. But it's across from the key. And after some searching, I found out that the key is an ancient word meaning the secrets, the key, and that's the key is, this is not a key, this is a vav. It's a and, a W, a U, or a V. The same thing as the vav. And so I don't use all the correct names for the Greek. I don't even know them, and I don't care, because Greek and Hebrew and Latin was all invented to keep you from reading this ancient English. But they interpret the Bible in every other language before they ever wrote an English Bible, and it's because English speakers read Hebrew and Greek. And when I say they interpret in every other language, I mean they misinterpret in every other language. There is some old Bibles, some old French and Italian and Spanish Bibles that modern speakers can't read. They don't understand that language. It's because they weren't misinterpreted. They had to change their language. And then I found other combinations like this A, he here, this ash. And it's where the word ass comes from. And you see it here, the man had a lass Why, Bash all had 'em. Talking about this woman was a whore and everybody had her. Comes from the ancient god Ash. You could also find him in Egypt, the god of the vineyards. I guess whoever had the best wine was getting the most ass. And then I found this OE, which is the odal, which means an heir, and it becomes a OV, a of, the same as your sons or ofs, and it means the son of the heir, the odal. And there's nowhere to learn this. I just figured this out by a lot of reading and comparing the two. And it's not the same story. It's not like you can look at a word here and get the same word over here. It's not the same. These are both in English, and it's two different stories. One thing happens and two people tell the story a different way. And so one of the most recent I figured out, there's two different O's in the Greek language. And I tell you that if it's an OI, it replaces an E. And so you wouldn't be able to write boy except they have another O. So if you were going to write boy, you would use this B and this O and this I. And so then it wouldn't change to the E. But when you use this I and this O here, this omega, this changes to an E. And so this doesn't read biblio. This is Bible, B-I-B-L-E. The first B is here, in Bible. And so people don't know what Bible means, but everybody used to have a Bible, and it meant vive, V-I-V, vive, the vival. It's where your word survival come from, means life, L, of, and E, life of thee. And so all of these books, they were kept by families, and it was passed down in the blood, in the sperm, S-P-R-M, the book of the wars. This is not wars. They get the war from alchemy, L-H-M-E is alchemy, is war. And it comes from will come of, you keep on messing around and this is what will come of. And lately I've figured out that this I-A, there's a lot of combinations in the Greek that just can't be pronounced. And I believe this I-A is due, on the account of due to. Or you could just pronounce this as through, and through to what? T-O-U-T, or due to what? Allege, O-L-E-G, allege it. And so this A-Y, the T is often replaced with a D, the D and the T. And so this is through to what? Allege a day, the day in vival, in life of thee. Through to what? Allege what is written the day in the life of thee. And so the war is the fall, F-O-L, the fallum as, the fallum most of in the war. And this is Lord, this is the carry out, K-U-R-Y-O-U-T-E-N. And through and due to what? Allege the day in the life of thee, fall the most of, carry out in a zoo. And zoo is the ancient word for life in the Greek. And he called her zoo because she was the mother of all life, zoology, the zoo in. And so this is the zoo in ecologize. And so this ecologize, it comes from the, Q means center, L is of, the center of. To find the center of, you're making things equal, to equalize. And you can see what I was talking about, that O-I reading as an E, ecology, O-I. It's not reading as a oik, it's a E, e-cause, the cause. And so the cause is your house. Everything you do is for your house and your family. It's the cause. And the logi, they say, is the study. And the study comes from the words. And so the word had a lot more meaning back then. It was logos. You see it at the top of the book of John, the long time, the yawn. And it's the energy. your inner chi is the life force energy, and that's where your word energy comes from. The inner chi, the power, the life force power on of logos. There's more meaning in the logos. A logo is just one letter. This is a logo, but it means a lot more. It's the secrets, the key. It's the key here. It's the vav. It's the connection. And so all of the logos were in the beginning. They had the energy on of the logos, the power in the word. And so the logos doesn't necessarily mean word. The word, this is connect, to see first through. You connect the logos to see first through. And that could also be read in English as to make AMR, knowledge from begin, to learn the words. That all him, he's all of that. That all him, yea, I vote yes. And all him, that's everybody says yes. That means let it be. That's a go vote. And let it be from art. And so due to what allegedage, what's picked up along the way, the days. And so everybody had a Bible, and it had all the accounts of what went on in that family. Everybody who got birthed was written in the Bible. Everybody who died, the time and their name was written in that Bible. And so the time wasn't written like we write time now. The time was all written, was where Venus, the sun, the moon were sitting. And between Venus, the sun, and the moon, you can tell their positions, and it'll give you accurate time for the past 28,000 years. And then they'll make that cycle again. And so in that Bible, in the life of thee, in your life, and what's written in your diary, every time that you buy something, you sell something, you keep your notes up in that Bible. Everybody had a Bible. They all read different. And that's what it's talking about, the scroll of war. There's all different books of life. But this Bible, the book of life, is also your DNA. It's in the sperm. And so due to what allegedage in the Bible fall most of carry out in the zoo in ecologize. In ecology, everything has to equal out to live together. You can't get rid of all the frogs, can't get rid of all the bugs. Everything has to be equal in ecologize. And what ofs, W-T, this is the W-A-T here, means what. And this is the what, the W-T, and you see the same in the Hebrew and the Greek. That's all you need is a W and a T, a vav and a T to mean what. And it means connect the mark. The mark is the writings. All these little letters, are T's. And so what is the connected mark? It's the spelling of what you're talking about, the picture you're looking at. And what ofs, O-V-S, is what comes of it. It's your children. What ofs. And it's the children of what it's talking about up here. The ofs. If it's talking about your kids, this is your ofs. If it's talking about having sex, this is your ofs, your children. If it's talking about building a house, your ofs is the house. And what ofs a shame are you? A shame, C-H-E-I-M-A-R. The double R turns into the Y-O-U. A shame are yous are none. You have no shame. And I'm not real sure about that. I'm getting that from what I'm reading over here. And that's the main reason I started doing this, is to get help from you, because there's nowhere else in the world I can find this. I've been searching for 10 years and nobody knows how to read Greek or Hebrew. They let you think they do, but nobody's stood up yet and said they can read it. They just say that they study it. I challenge anybody to search and find a more comprehensive study of the languages. And then this is the Septuagint. This is that first Greek Bible down here. And it always has some difference. Usually has major, many big differences. This one, all they did was add the N here. But it has all these directional markings. And so when they change a one letter, it can make a huge difference. it'll look like this, and often have just one letter omitted or added on words, and you won't see that difference. But when it gets huge down here at the bottom, you'll see a set of parentheses that show that this wasn't in the original Septuagint. It comes from other Bibles. There's several old Bibles, and they're written different. And when you get to the bottom of the last day, you'll see a whole bunch of words that weren't in there. And it reads total different. And so when it comes, and there was evening, there was Hesper, and there was morning, the day is not even in there. And what it's talking about is the Projkth, the project. There was no sixth day, it was the project. Proj meaning, to the morning, to stick out in front, to project. And that's where the proj comes from. And then when you go to reading the New Testament, there's a bunch of different Bibles. There must be about 15 different Bibles that are written differently. And so this tells who can write in the Bible. All. All can yammer, and sperm will commit. And this you had, this is where your word Jew comes from. Everybody who's reading this was Jews. And it means you, if you can read it, you're Jewish. And you had, H-A-T, and you hat. Old Boone word for had. And you had we by, this double B here becoming an I, by soup, S-U-P, everything in the soup, in the ecologies. And all can yammer, and sperm will commit. And you had we by soup, what? In chilly morning, M-A-R-N-U-N. And so this in chili, C-H-L-I, that's your Greek word for the commander of armies, but it's also the word to kill, to chill, a chili, chill them out. And so what they did, they would write accounts of times, but they would match it with the stories of the stars, because they believed that everything happened on Earth was caused by the stars. And so they would write the stories of Earth with what happened in the stars, and if everybody got equalized on Earth, it was due to the stars. And so where this is at in the book of Numbers, you'll see that Moses has several different spellings. Sometimes it's the mousin, and mousin, if you got a mouse problem, you get a cat, and he's called your mouser. And when he's hunting, he's mousing. What he's looking for the mouses. And so this is a story written about the heavens, but it's about a cat and a snake and a mouse. And so you'll see these words for and said and the Lord and to, always spelt different, and Moses also. And what this is saying here, this is the serpent. It's not the Lord talking to Moses. This is and Epicurus. Look it up. Epicurus means somebody who wants to taste everything, wants to eat all the food. And so an Epicurus a forward, and a motion. An Epicurus forward motion feeds on CO2. The works on CO2. So an Epicurus promotion is when a snake is looking for a mouse. And you see it in here, he's out there mousing. Forward mousing. And Epicurus means he's got his tongue out and he's smelling everything along the way. And that's an Epicurus promotion. Of Epicurus force of motion. Out there hunting the mouse. The fees of on, C of 2. And so the one who's doing this work, the C of 2, that's saying it's the serpent. None of this says serpent in here. This don't even say serpent here. It says the guy who crawls around with his tongue hanging out, his motion with his tongue out front, the fees on, the one that does that works, the C of 2, the one that's doing of in. It doesn't mean anything but the one that's doing this. And this isn't Moses, this isn't mouse, this is the serpent. And so they use the same word for the mouse, they use the same word for the cat. You have to read all the other words around it to see none of these words have a noun meaning. They're all verbs. And so what's he do about it? The next line is, and the fees, the mouses of in, the choco. And so chalk, that's where your word talk come from when you're not talking nice. Chalk, the choco, cuss and win. And the fees of the mouses of in, cuss and win. And set, is W-E-S-T, where the sun sets at. And the west is in, and set. So that's how you know it's talking about the sun. It's not talking about a cat. It's not talking about a mouse. It's not talking about a snake. It's talking about the sun. And you see that, the mouse represents the beginning of the year. The snake represents the circle going around. And the cat represents the sun. And so you see that here when this Moses just spelled with a M-S-E. And it's coming over here a V-O, to go and smash. Smash is the sun. Every ancient language, smash was the god of the sun. And it can be written several different ways. It can be written like this with a tack that tells you to read that next word backwards and then forward. So it's the, and then the S-M-S-H, the smash, the sun. You'll see it just a couple lines down lower here. Toward the sunrise, the smash. And yammer you, the smash. All the smash who's. The sun goes around and he smashes in every house. And all the smash who's, elixir pussy motto. Your motto is go around and licks everybody's pussy. Well, you tell he's talking about the cat there. And says you, the smash who's licks her pussy, the motto. And the motto of Orleans, that's where your word New Orleans come from, and it means all, everybody. New Orleans is a big melting pot. Same as Egypt was Egypt was the old Orleans. New Orleans is the New Orleans. They're the same thing. They sit out the mouth of the river. They sit in the same place. They're sitting on this same 30th parallel right here at the mouth of the river. You go across to the same place over here, and it's the same thing except the river runs the other direction. But it was the same people. The people that lived here, they loved this type of living. They loved the alligators and the crocodiles, the fish. And when they left there, they come over here to the same environment. Orleans. Whose licks her pussy motto in all ends. And with the tack, it's all sins, S-N-S. And all sins. And the vehicle. And what you ride. And how you got there. And the vehicle. Cause of in. The K-U-S-V-E-N. The cause of in. A suck. And where is, this is that ash right here is the E-S, W-R-E-S, where is, and when he looks at, where is at to, and when he looks at it, where is at to, why, and then you see the cat down here, V-O, and go smashing, go smash in is, go smash in his nest. Who's meow, M-E-W. That's ancient Egyptian for the cat. Who's meow, Orleans, New Orleans, Mew Orleans, the cat on the pole. And then when you're reading it with the tack here, it's all S, and then the N-E becomes a V-E, and the sevens, and all sevens, which means he's a lucky cat. He's up on the pole. In these two places, the water rises. The cat, the meows on the pole. All sevens. He's lucky. He got away from the dogs. Got away from the water. And if you can't understand, how this could be, hey, if you're watching this, you're about 1,000 times smarter than everybody else on the street. And just Google GPMB. It'll come right up on top. They'll call it the Global Preparedness Monitoring Board. It'll bring you to their page, and just because it says the Global Preparedness Monitoring Board underneath this GPMB, that's not necessarily what it means. The General Population Megabase. And come over here to Reports. Click on that. And it'll come right up here on the top, World at Risk. This is a report from 2019, back in September 2019. It'll say it playing out right here, September 2019, when this come out. And you don't even have to read the whole thing. You could go down here and read the whole report, or you could just hit there and read the summary in English, and it's just the 4 pages, and you just run on down the first page. It tells exactly what was up. And it'll tell you the WHO and World Bank and partners working with countries develop and cast packages of priority intervention to increase preparedness and capacity that can be financed in the current budget. And scroll on down to the bottom, and it'll tell you progress indicators by September 2020. And the United Nations, including the WHO, conducts at least 2 system-wide training and simulation exercises, including one for covering the deliberate release of a lethal respiratory pathogen. And they put this out there for everybody to read because they knew people were stupid and lazy. 2 system-wide training and simulation exercises, including one for covering the deliberate release of a lethal respiratory pathogen. And it tells you plain out in English how people got so stupid, you know. The language of Babel was the language of Egypt. You know, the Baba. Baba was the teacher of language in Egypt. And then people had one language, and now all this they've begun to do, now nothing will be withheld. And that's what I read. That's why I wanted to get this one language back. Nothing will be withheld from them. All that they devised to do. I wanted to be able to do anything. That's why I wanted to learn the language. So what they did, they came from the Nord. They come from the North. The Nord, to change the language, to confuse them. So you're not going to find any more comprehensive study of the language. I haven't found, I've been doing this a long time, I haven't found anybody who has a clue yet. They're all confused. And this ain't the first time this happened, and you can read it there in Numbers 21. Even in the English translation you can get some of it out of it. But it's the serpent on the pole from the north. So please don't nobody send your DNA to the greater population megabase. It doesn't matter who your family is. Because in the beginning, you were the inner chi. You were an energy. Biome as what you, the all, him, arch on the top was in. And this is another letter combination. This mem is an N. You was put in the arch, up in the top. This is a long one here. I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.